Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are studying about conditional sentences. In the English grammar section, conditional sentences, you will learn so many types of conditional sentences that you can compose and you can use it to create your own paragraphs and create more information, more statements and expressions using conditional sentences. In this section about conditional sentences, you will learn about the types of conditional sentences and then when to use conditional sentences and how to compose conditional sentences as well as how to correct errors in conditional sentences. Let's focus on the first part, that is the types of conditional sentences. I'm going to narrow down the types of conditional sentences into three types. The first type is conditional sentences type 1, that is used for future possibility, and the second is conditional sentences type 2, that is used for expressing contrary to the present fact. And the last is conditional sentences type 3, that is used to express things that is contrary to past fact. Okay, now let's get down to the details of the first type, that is conditional sentence type 1. Conditional sentence type 1. This is used for future possibility. Conditional sentence type 1, or the conditional sentence that is used for future possibility, is used to express possibility in the future. It may happen or may not happen. So, the possibility is 50%. You need to remember that this sentence is used something that may happen in the future. The formula for composing conditional sentence type 1 is we start with if and followed by a subject and then followed by a present verb and then followed by comma and then the subject and then modals will and base verb. The example will be if I see you there, if and then I, the subject, and then the present verb see. So you there is the object, and then this is comma. I will meet you there. If I see you there, I will meet you there. And these compositions can be reverted. That is, will be explained in the next page. But before that, let's see this another example. If you see him, comma, you can call me. Right, so everything here, the sentence express something in the future. So we make a prediction of what may happen in the future. Not in this time, in the future. Just in case, let's say tomorrow, or maybe later in the afternoon, or maybe next month, next week, anytime that is in the future. So if you want to express possibility in the future, use conditional sentence type 1. There is something that you need to underline, that if we use conditional sentence type 1, we use present verb and then the modals used is will, not would. So whenever you use will, that means you use present verb. Or the other way, whenever you use present verb, you will use will. Okay, let's go to the next page. You have to be careful of the comma. So comma is very important part of the sentence here. Conditional sentence type 1 and then maybe type 2 and also type 3. The position of comma is very important. So let's say here, there are two forms in positioning the sentences for conditional sentences. Look at the position of if. If you use if in the beginning of the sentence, then you need to put comma after the first sentence. And if you put the if in the middle of the sentence, then you do not need comma. See, there is no comma here. Let's see the example. The first example represents the first formula in which we use if, and there will be comma after the first sentence. If I see you there, comma, I will meet you. Comma here is very important, so it has to be there. If you do not put comma here, then the sentence will be incorrect. Alternately, if you do not want to use comma, then the if must be in the middle of the sentence. See? I will meet you if I see you there. So if becomes in the middle of the sentence, and there will be no comma. Okay? So you can use either the first form or the second form. They are all correct. But be careful. When you use comma, then the if is in the beginning. Or if the if is in the beginning, then you need to put comma after the first sentence. And if you put if in the middle between two sentences, then you do not need comma. Alright, so this is the normal composition. What about the negative? In the negative, you need to put not after the modal. So for example, I will not meet you. Very simple. Next is, sometimes it is very tricky when it comes to a question form. So for example, will you meet me if you see me there? See, this is using the composition in which if is in the middle between two sentences, and this is in the question form. There is a question mark. You need to pay attention here. The composition is not you will meet me, not you will meet me, but it is inverted because this is a question. So modal will is in the beginning of the sentence. Will you meet me if you see me there? Or if you use if, then you can write it this way. If in the beginning of the sentence, if you see me there, comma, will you meet me? So will you meet me is the question, right? And that's why will begins the sentence. Will you meet me? So you cannot write you will meet me because that is incorrect. That is incorrect because that is not the form of question. When it is in form of questions, the modal comes first. Okay, I think we are ready to go to the next page. We are going to study further about conditional sentence, and this time we are focusing on conditional sentence type 2, that is contrary to the present fact. The usage of conditional sentence type 2 is to express something that is contrary to the present fact. So for example, the present fact is that you are a man. Now you are trying to make a contrast of this condition. The contrast would be you are imagining to be a woman. And of course, it is impossible for you as a man to be a woman right now. And that is contrary to the present fact. Okay, now let's see how the formula and the example. This is actually the same as what was written, what is shown in conditional sentence type 1. The only difference is that the verb that is used in conditional sentence type 2 is it is using past verb and the modal is using would. Next, and if you invert the position, so for example, is if the if is in the middle of the between two sentences, then there will be no comma. Now let's see the example. The fact is that you do not have an airplane right now. You do not have an airplane. Okay, so that's the real condition right now. You do not have an airplane. Now you are trying to make imagination the contrast condition. That is, you are imagining to have an airplane, right? Okay, now this imagination can be expressed using conditional sentence type 2. If I had an airplane, if subject, I had an airplane, right? So had is the past form of the verb have. So if I had an airplane, comma, I will travel around the world. Or if you try to use the if in the middle of the sentences, I will travel around the world if I had an airplane. So this is written in past verb because this is just an imagination to the existing fact in the present time. In fact, you do not have an airplane, but you are trying to make imagination. So the expression must be using present, past time verb, and then the model is not using will anymore, it is using would. Right. Let's see the next page. Here you have to be careful because all be must be changed to were no matter what the subject is. So for example, as I told you before that the verb in conditional sentence type 2 is using past verb, but it does not mean that all verb can be transferred to the past form immediately. There's an exception. If the verb is using be, then when you are using conditional sentence type 2, all be must be using were. So let's give me an example. If I was you, I would eat again. And this is incorrect. Why incorrect? So you are trying to convert am, the be if is am, right? Actually, if I am you, but this is a conditional sentence type 2 and it is using past verb. The past verb of am is was, but as you can see the rule here, all be in conditional sentence type 2 must be transferred to were, and that's why it should be this way. If I were you, I would eat again. So it may sound incorrect, but this is correct. This is academically correct. And sometimes maybe you heard from movie it says, or from songs, for example, say I was you. That's okay for conversational English, but for academic English, that form is incorrect. In academic English, the correct one is using were. Okay, no matter the subject. I, she, you, there, or she, it, he, it, no problem. All subject, the be must be using were when it comes to conditional sentence type 2. Okay? Next is the inversion possibility. As you can see here, conditional sentence type 2 that uses be or were can be inverted and the if can be deleted. So the example is, if I were you, I would eat again. And the other form, I would eat you if I were you. This can be converted. So by deleting the if, right? It becomes, were I you, I would eat again. As you notice, there's no if here, but the position should be changed. The original position is I comes before were, but then it is transferred were first. Were I you, I would eat again. Or the other form, the second form, is I would eat again were I you. It may sound strange, but this is academically correct. Next, we are studying about conditional sentence type 3. This is used to express something contrary to the past fact. Conditional sentence type 3 is to express something that is contrary to the past time fact. So let's imagine something happened in the past time, and then you are trying to make imagination about the contrary condition. So, for example, in the past, you went to a fishing pond. This happened in the past, let's say a year ago, a month ago, right? So that's why it is expressed using verb to or past verb, went. The first form is go, and then because it is in the past, it uses went. Now you are trying to make a contrast. You are imagining to be not in the pond at that time in the past, right? Okay, so this is the function of conditional sentence type 3. Let's see the formula. The formula is actually the same. Begin with if or maybe if in the middle of the sentences, but this one, it is using a combination between had and verb 3 or uh, past participle, and then followed by would have verb 3. Okay, or alternately, if you put if in the middle, it would be subject would have and verb 3, and then followed by if and subject had verb 3. Let's give you an example. So the past time fact is that you went to a fishing pond and you caught a fish, a big fish, right? At that time, a year ago maybe, you went to a fishing pond and then you caught a big fish. Now you are trying to make imagination. You try to make a contrary condition. So the imagination would be so because this sentence is positive, we are going to make it negative to oppose the position. If I had not gone to a fishing pond, I would not have caught a fish, right? So this is had, and then not is to oppose the contrary, and gone is verb 3, right? And then after the comma, it's followed by subject I, and then would not is to oppose, and then have verb 3 caught a big fish, right? So this is the cause, and catching a big fish is the result. If I had not gone to a fishing pond, I would not have caught a big fish. The same as what happened in were, right? So there's also conversion possibility in conditional sentence type 3. Like the were in conditional sentence type 2, the had in conditional sentence type 3 can be inverted, and thus the if can be deleted. For example, if I had not gone to a fishing pond, comma, I would have caught a big fish. And this composition can be inverted like by deleting the if, but the had position is in the beginning, like this one. From if I had not gone becomes had I not gone. Okay, so had is in the beginning of the sentence and then followed by I and verb 3, but there is no if. Okay, so that's the possibility of conversion using conditional sentence type 3. I think we have learned a lot, and then later we can practice creating conditional sentences type 1, type 2, and type 3. I think that's all. Thank you. You have watched all about conditional sentences type 1, type 2, type 3, and then some exceptional things like the conversion, and then the position of if, I'll change alternately, and so on. Thanks again. Happy learning! Thank you for watching the video about conditional sentences type 1, type 2, and 3. See you again in the other video.